Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about spiritual magic, the law of attraction, the art of allowing, the mind, body, spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm a musician, teacher, and tarot oracle card reader.
My name is Stephanie, and I'm a transformational life coach helping people shift away from negative thinking. In San Diego, California. Collin created that part, and I'm like, I didn't create it, so I'm like, he's always waiting for me, like, you didn't say where you're from. Aw.
I know. But yes.
Give me about 10 more episodes, I'll get it.
You're in San Diego. I'm in beautiful, lovely North Hollywood, California. Thanks so much for listening to us. If you're listening to the podcast version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, thank you so much for watching us on the Co-Creation Station YouTube channel, if that's where you're watching us. If you like what we do here and you're called to like us, subscribe to us, follow us, give us a review, whatever the platform you're on allows you to do, every little bit helps. And we are super grateful to those of you who do that for us. Thank you so much. So each week here on Co-Creation Station, we start our discussion from a different jumping off point. As I told Stephanie right before we hit the record button here today, I have a question for her, and I think that can be the leaping off point for today's episode. So I did mention this in the last episode, but I thought I was going to get to talk about it a bunch, and then we kind of went a different direction. I was thinking about this week because this is one of the challenges I've had with the law of attraction, my understanding of the law of attraction and my practice of the art of allowing, which is Wayne Dyer, who is a big believer and proponent of the art of allowing and worked a lot with Abraham when he was alive. And you and I were privileged to see Wayne Dyer interview Abraham in Anaheim, California, way back in 2013 or whatever that was, which was incredible. But he used to say this thing in a lot of his talks where he would say, you become what you think about all day long. And I think I actually had a conversation, at least one, with you about this when I was your client, but it's still bugging me. So apparently we need to have another one, which is it's probably my perfectionism that I'm also trying to replace. But
that little booger.
It's like, well, if I don't think about it all day long, does that mean it's not going to happen? It seems like a very high standard for me to do something. Like I have to think about, like if I want a new car, do I have to think about the new car? Like, do I have to visualize me in the new car all day long? And then if I don't do that, I won't get it.
That's a great question. No, because we were talking about this in the last episode, like when we ask, it is given.
Right.
Like it's already created. And so, no, it's done. Just got to allow it.
So what was Wayne talking about there?
So what can happen is this happens all the time where, remember when we were going to Old Town and we were talking about how, that picture we wanted when we were at the Wayne Dyer and Abraham, they had taken during break time, there was a photographer way off, and because it was a huge room, I saw him taking pictures of people, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I want them to take our picture. And so I was like kind of being overly happy. Like I was already happy, but I kind of like put it on even thicker. And he came our way, and he's like, can I take your picture? I'm like, yeah. So he took a picture of Collin and I. And then I called them like a few days later and said, hey, that you guys took a picture of us. How can I get it? And the lovely woman was like, I have no idea. Let me look into that. And then I never heard from her. And this, was like, I don't know, it was a year later, 6 months later, whatever.
Long time. It felt like a long time.
Okay. And Collin had come down from LA and he's like, we're deciding where we were going to go for lunch. And he's like, oh yeah, my mom got this thing. And it's the video and the book of that event. And he's like, I didn't have the heart to tell her that I had been there. And I'm like, and I brought up the picture. I'm like, yeah, we were both in the vortex. That's going to be a great picture. Because I just know when anyone's in the vortex, when they're happy, their photos are always amazing. And so we head to lunch. And I don't even know if we had ordered yet. We sit down, Old Town Mexican Cafe. And this woman comes over and she says, can I take your picture? And we just start busting up because it was like 20 minutes earlier. And it wasn't like we said, you know what, we're going to go to lunch and we're going to have our picture taken and we're going to get this amazing picture. And so in that moment, like when he even way back when he took that picture, I wanted a picture of us in the vortex. And so when we ask, it is given. So no, you don't have to. I think what the whole thing with thinking about it is because so many of us have practiced in our minds, in our memories, in our thoughts, imagining it not happening,
Mm.
that what the practicing of it is to practice the vibration of it, practice the thoughts of it, practice me imagining me having it. Because then I'm more getting into an alignment, I'm practicing the energy of it, and then I'm allowing it to come in versus it can't happen. It's like a wall comes, it can't happen. I can't have it. I don't deserve it. It's like, Abraham talks about having the umbrella up and just deflecting it off me. So that's the whole purpose of the visualizing, of the talking about it, is to practice the energy of it. And then we're more of a magnet, right? Instead of repelling it, we've attracted it. But it's given. It's done. Like, here we go again. It's done. It's done. It's done. It's done. I have this little visual with block letters saying it's done.
Yeah, thank you. That's really helpful. I guess that helps me understand that, like, so I think, like, one of the things that comes up for me when I hear him say that in my mind now is, like, for example, if someone wants a new job, like they just hate their current job, they want a new job very badly,
Mm-hmm.
and they have this, I'm just creating a hypothetical example here, but like they want to be in a whole entire field. And I've had conversations like this before with people where, I'll ask them what they do for a living, and they tell me what they do, and they kind of let me know, like, oh, but I hate it, it's boring, I can't stand it, whatever.
Yeah.
And I will just, because I'm always interested in, like, well, what do you really want? That's kind of like one of my things. I'll say, well, what would you really want to do? Or is that originally what you wanted to do when you were in college or high school, whatever. And every now and then somebody will say, well, I absolutely know what I would love to do, but I know I can't, and here's why. Yeah. And what seems pretty clear to me is that person, by telling me that person has those as a belief or beliefs.
Remember, beliefs are only a thought we keep thinking, and we've thought them long enough, right. It's become a belief.
Yeah, it's a as you said last episode, it's a well-paved neural pathway in
our
brain.
Yeah, exactly.
And so what that person typically is going to do is they're going to wake up every morning and they're going to, all day long, they're going to think, God, I hate my job. And their brain's going to go, yeah, and I really want to do that other thing. Oh, but here's all the reasons why I can't. And so what that person is putting out to the universe over the course of that day is, and it's a weird thing to say, but it's like, keep giving me this job I hate because I spent so much energy on it all day. The universe is like, oh, I guess you were really, it's not that you're enjoying hating your job, but it's like, that's what you're pouring your energy into. So the universe is like, oh, well, then I'll give you more opportunities to hate your job. Like, I'll keep you there. You seem like you're really digging into this. You're really,
and just know the universe doesn't speak. It's just a vibration. It's just an energy. And so but I just want people to know that it doesn't have this, it doesn't decide. It's just responding. It's just an energy.
The universe talks to me, Stephanie. The male voice. And for some reason, it sounds very much like Tiny Tim, the guy who used to play the ukulele, which is odd. An odd voice. No, I'm kidding. But I think that's, like, now after what you just explained in a great way, I think that's when Wayne Dyer says you become what you think about all day long. I think it's more like, if you just keep a default belief or default set of beliefs about something going all day, that's what you're going to manifest more of. If you
that's what I'm attracting, right? That's what I'm attracting. What I'm thinking about is when I'm focused on, I'm attracting, because law of attraction is always working, just like the law of gravity. And therefore, what I think about is going to come about. What I put my attention on, I'm going to attract. It's the laws of the universe. And so, but we're not taught that, I think that would be a really, wow, could you imagine? OMG. In school, having, aside from having one that teaches us about how to have relationships in a very healthy, loving, enjoyable, mutually enjoyable way. If there was one on the art of allowing and the law of attraction, and how to play the game of life and win, that would
I
be
think
super cool.
I totally understand where this comes from, but I think one of the most damaging things that happens in our society is that when people have become parents and have children, not everybody does this, but a lot of people do. And it's understandable. I'm not trying to be hypercritical here. But one of the first things that happens is they fear for their children's financial future. Like they want to know that their children
Or
will
fear
have,
in general, right?
well, but I'm talking about something really specific that has a very specific outcome, which is this whole thing around the fear of financial security for your children. And because what happens is, and I think a lot of times it's not even so much, sometimes it's very blatant and direct. Like parents will say, you are not allowed to, try to become a professional musician, for example. You are not allowed to move to LA and try to be a professional actor. Like that is a pathway where you will fail at, and um, you will be in financial hardship. And I am so concerned about your safety when you're an adult someday that I'm going to tell you right now, that lane is not open to you.
Yeah.
And what that does is it trains the child so that when they become an adult, they have this belief. So even if they overcome, the sort of order from their parents not to move to LA and try to be an actor, and actually do, what they're then likely going to have is a series of auditions where they never get the part, and they almost get an agent and then don't. And it looks to them like, oh, my mom and dad were right.
Yeah.
And it seems like that they're analyzing it all on this one level of like, well, yep. But what's actually happening there is that the parent has fear, and it's an understandable fear. It's like, because where that fear, I've never had children, but I think it's a human thing. It's like, if I have this child, I can use my financial resources that I have now to take care of this person until they're whatever, 18, 19, 20 years old. At that point, they're going to have to find ways to get money on their own. And so I want to make sure that I'm preparing them to go do that. So they don't end up poor, they don't end up homeless, they don't end up in a gutter somewhere, which that's a totally understandable, like a parent wanting to protect the child, wanting the child to have a good life, wanting the child not to go through additional difficulties when they're outside of the parent's care, i.e. when they're 18, 19, 20 years old. But there have been so many people I've talked to who have had a parent that either directly or indirectly has said to the child, when they clearly, like, they might be even 10, 12 years old, and say, oh, I really want to be, this or that. And the parent says, no, don't do that. Or they might just be indirect about it, and just try to scare them essentially, and just go, well, you can, but wow, this is the one I hear the most, is that is super competitive. It is super hard to succeed, and it's super hard to make any money in that field. Yeah. So they're not saying you can't do it, but they're again, we talk about the neural pathways.
Is a belief, right? It's just a thought. It's a belief.
But once you have that belief, that is typically what people operate from. And to go back to Wayne Dyer's comment, if you think about that all day long, so even if you did defy your parents and you move to LA and you're trying to be an actor and you're auditioning, you're trying to get an agent, if you had that programming so that you have that belief up there, you're defeating yourself as you go to the audition. You go to the audition and you're thinking, I probably
we don't even know that.
And you're not aware of it.
Yeah, I think that's that's why I love doing this podcast with you, is because a lot of us are walking around in life and we don't even know we're doing the things that are harming us, and we're not intentionally doing it. I don't realize, I go, oh my gosh, I'm totally working against, here I'm taking all these actions, and then it doesn't pan out because I have this belief that it can't happen, I don't deserve it, or blah blah blah, like you said. And so
and that's a really great point. That's something that's like the next level that I still struggle with this, is the whole thing about action. because in that it's a hypothetical example, but I know several people that have a similar story to this hypothetical example, which is, let's just say, a child who wants to be an actor and then moves to LA. What tends to go along with that belief, which is it's really competitive, it's super hard, only a small percentage of people make it. You're, statistically speaking, you're probably not going to succeed. That's your belief as you go to the audition. That's what you're putting out to the universe. The chances of this succeeding are very low. But the antidote seems like, well, I'm just going to do more actions than other people.
I'm going to try harder.
I'm going to go to more auditions, or I'm going to get a better agent, or I'm going to take more classes, or class with a better teacher, or something like that. And I'm not saying that those things can't help or whatever, but like what I learned from Abraham, one of the things I've learned that she talks about and explains it very well, is I had it backwards with action. Is that what I thought was, I'm going to control this outcome by using my action as the how to manifest what I want. Yeah. And what I've learned from Abraham and Mike Dooley and other people that really talk about this really well is really what you want to do is, identify what your heart is already knows. So let yourself have the dream. If you dream of being an actor in the movies and playing scenes opposite Tom Cruise, for the moment, let yourself have that dream, because your heart has it anyway. You can deny it all day long, but if your heart has it, it's there. It's already sending energy out to the universe. So have that energy. Trust, as you said last episode and this episode, that it's done, that whatever your destiny is around that, and it may look a little different or maybe even very different.
Destiny, you've asked, it's been given. When we ask,
well, that's why I feel like it's destiny. Like what I mean is,
not if I don't believe it, and
that's the thing.
It's like you said, it's in there. Like there's so much in there, and a lot of us don't even let in like even 1% of what's in our vortex, and it's like you said, like when we croak, as Abraham loves to say, when I transition, like then I am all of that and more. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I don't want to have to transition to have it. I want to experience as much of it as I can while I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's another thing that like I've had to learn, that it's let my, get in touch with my heart, my soul, whatever you want to, however you think about it. Yeah. Like, what do I really want? And before I do the mental things of like, well, how likely is it? And what would I have to do?
I know.
Just pause. Yeah. And before I do any of that, let go of the how. Like, let go of needing to know how it will happen.
Yeah, Mike Dooley. Let go of the dreaded how.
And it's not that I'm not going to do any action. It's that I'm going to see what actions the universe puts in front of me to do.
Inspired. What am I inspired to do? Inspiration.
So it's desire first, then action. And I'm not creating the action like by thinking really hard about what's the best way to become an actor, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. Again, yes, there are things you can do that will help you, but the best thing is if you can wake up in the morning and say, I'm so happy that it's already in my vortex that I'm a, rich and successful actor. I wonder what the universe would like me to do today to do the next step towards that, and ask it from that perspective instead of asking, your own mind, essentially, your own intellectual, logical mind. Ask the universe. And because here's the thing about this, and I'm picking on like actors and musicians, whatever, because I'm a musician. I live in LA. I know a lot of actors. It's sort of like the world I'm used to talking about, but this goes for anything. I mean, there's people, I've talked to people like they're an accountant and they actually love accounting, but they hate the company they work for. They really want to work at this other accounting company, and they have a belief that that company will never hire them. So it's not even about actor. It can be anything. But the thing is like, if I let the universe show me, then I'm likely going to get this very great, what would after the fact look like a very crazy set of coincidences. But if you listen to interviews with famous actors, famous musicians, and you ask them, how did you get your big break? It blows me away every time, because it sounds, there's nothing logical about it. It's, yes, lots of famous actors, who are now successful. Yes, they took acting classes in Los Angeles. They went on a lot of auditions. But when you hear about their breaks, the break is like, I was randomly at this bar and this director that I've worshiped my whole life and think is amazing walked in, and I didn't even know what I was doing because I was so like, this might be my only chance to ever talk to this person. And so I went up to this director and said, oh my God, you're amazing. I've watched all your films. It's just such a pleasure to meet you. And I didn't even mention that I was an actor. I didn't even mention that I'd moved to LA and moved my whole life here to be an actor, but we just ended up talking. And after a while, he asked me, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm actually an actor. And he said, oh, well, I'm working on this amazing project. Like, you know, contact the casting director. We'll get you in for an audition. And like, it's something like that.
And it's all
and
energy,
like, that's
right?
not anything you could wake up in the morning and figure out with your logical mind and then plan and execute in order to control the how. You couldn't.
Or even think that it was possible, right?
Right,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Because there's like, I know for myself personally, and you, I'm sure, and everyone listening, it would be like, yeah, and this thing happened. I never even thought it was possible or even thought about it, but I was like, there's no way that's ever going to happen.
Yeah.
It's like, that's my limited thinking, you know, goes back to like, how much % of the brain do we actually use? And it's like, it's a small fraction of what's possible. So, yeah.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, I've talked to you about this before. I have what I call like my silent prayers. And I don't mean to use that as a religious term. What I mean is there are things that like they'll occur to me either because I see something or you know, just somebody mentions something and I'm like, oh, I'd like that. But it doesn't hit my radar, my personal radar of like super important things. So I don't focus on it. I'll just be like, oh, that'd be cool if I had that. And then I'm like, what am I having for lunch? You know, on with my day. And I get like almost 100% of those things in the next 48 hours or so. It's crazy. And every time I say, I'm like, well, I just thought about this yesterday.
Crazy, right? It's like,
it's the way it works. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like the things that I think about more, what I've learned is the process is typically a little longer and a little more arduous.
Only because of the resistance, right?
Because I'm bouncing between resistant thoughts and allowing thoughts.
Yeah.
But with that thing that I just thought of,
slows
like,
it down.
Yeah. Like my friend will have some new gadget or something, you know, that they got for $20 on Amazon. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then like, you know, 2 days later, a friend of mine will send me a gift out of nowhere in the mail and it's that thing. And I'm like, what? Darn it.
Yeah.
I got it because I had you know, it's just so clear. I remember the rocket of desire moment because I saw my friends and I was like, it's so cool.
Yeah.
But then what I did was I didn't think about it, which means the important thing is I didn't think any thoughts of, I can't have that. Why can't I have that? Why isn't it here?
Which are the resistant thoughts.
Exactly. I just didn't think about it at all. There was no resistance between me and the vortex. And so the universe was just like, okay, here you go.
Yeah, and the resistance thoughts slow things down.
Yeah.
Because I'll have this allowing thought, oh, that would be fun. And then I have the resistance thought, yeah, but I don't have the money for it. And then I just ping pong back and forth. And I think that's what a lot of us do is we ping pong back and forth between a thought that is beneficial and then a thought that's detrimental. And it just slows things down. Well, yeah, it's such a human thing, right? It's just natural. But honestly, it's like, I want to do that less often with those things. I'm just starting to notice like, oh yeah, I have a lot of ping-ponging resistant allowing thoughts, and it's like I want to soften the resistant thoughts and then just have a little more belief, soften the doubt a little more, have a little more belief. And that's why I wrote this whole it's done on this paper, because I was thinking about something and I'm like, girl, like on those things that I have more doubt about, I just need to be reminded it's done. It's done. I don't have to make it happen. It's done.
The other thing that it's done helps with, I'm really glad we're talking about the it's done thing, because the other thing that helps with is, because I wrote this thing down one time that Abraham said, I was like, I got to remember this forever. It's so important. And in the course of one of her workshops, talking to somebody who'd asked a question, she said, stop looking at the scoreboard. And what she meant by that was what a lot of us do is we'll tell ourselves we believe that the law of attraction is operating all the time. We believe that. We'll tell ourselves we believe that if we practice the art of allowing, that we will, attract more of what we want into our lives. But then what we will do is we'll do a day of visualizing. And then the next morning we're like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's my stuff?
Yeah.
I had a
It's
friend.
not here. What?
There was a meme.
This doesn't work.
One of the internet memes that I found one time, and I used to send it to another friend of mine. We used to talk about the law of attraction, art of belonging a lot. It's Kermit the Frog from the Muppets, and he's just like doing that thing of looking back and forth, and it says, bitch, where? Bitch, where? And my friend and I were joking of like, sometimes when I think like, oh, I found something I want to attract into my life, and I visualized yesterday, and then I'm like, Kermit, I'm like, bitch, where is it? But that's I used to do that so much, and I still can do it sometimes, which is, I like my brain will track, like, it's been 7 days since I did that first visualization. Like, where is it? Yeah. And it's like the best thing you can do is just be like, this was another thing that's really helpful from Abraham, because almost everyone in America at least buys almost everything they buy on Amazon now. When I buy something on Amazon, I don't check like 6 times a day on Amazon to see if it's definitely going to come to me. Like, I trust that I've put in the order and it's going to show up, because Amazon's really good at doing that. Have I ever had a package that didn't show up? Yeah, I have. But that doesn't make me go on Amazon now, order a book and go, well, I hope it's not like that one time out of 1,000. I'm like, no, this one will probably get here. So that's the place to be. It's like, and that's sort of, I think, goes along with the it's done. When I order a book on Amazon, I believe it's done. Like, Amazon's going to do the rest. The book will be on my doorstep in a couple of days or whatever, So that's how to approach the art of allowing, is like, don't obsess about why isn't it here? I've been working for this. I've been trying to get this new job for so long. I've been on all these interviews. Why haven't I gotten the job? Why haven't I gotten the job? I've been auditioning for 3 years. Why haven't I gotten my big break? Why haven't I gotten my big break? Yeah. It's like, I know it's hard, but it's really just like, try as much as you can to wake up in the morning and just be like, I'm so excited that this is done. I wonder what the universe has in store for me in terms of what my part would be in it today. Yeah. That's it. Like, don't worry about it.
The night that I had written this fun little block letters, it's done, it's done, it's done. I then got on my laptop in my notes and just started writing, oh, remember when we wanted ... like the cat and the dog, that's where this little greeting card with the orange little cute little Morris cat came from. And then my next door neighbor's cat just walks in my life, and we have this incredible friendship for 8 years. And then so I wrote that down. Oh, I wanted a cat and a dog that I really love. And then I got Nibbles and Tiger. And then I wrote it like I wanted. And so I just started thinking about all these things that I had wanted, all these people, places, things, whatever it was. Remember when we wanted, and then showed up. And I had this nice list of like 10 different things. And then I read them all to myself. And it was like, this thing that I'm wanting now, it's the same thing. And there's always going to be something new. There's never going to be a spot where I'm like, I'm done, I'm good, and then never anything is created. It's just how it's meant to be. We're always going to be in a state of becoming. We're always going to want something. And so it's just like, okay, I just need to relax and just trust that that's part of the game, and that I am eventually going to get, because I'm a woman who gets a lot of what she wants.
If you can write that down, I would like to talk about on a future episode the idea in our society that desire is bad. And that balancing act that is great to do and is challenging between gratitude in the present, but allowing yourself to have desires. Yeah, I think that's an important concept we should talk about. So.
And I have it written down. I may still have it in my bathroom, where on my vanity mirror, it was like, thankful for what is, or appreciating what is, and excited about what's to come, or something to that effect. Like appreciating what is, and then excited anticipation about what's to come.
So what you can get excited about is the next episode where we'll talk about that. So an alignment right there.
You were on it, dude. You're on it today.
be grateful for whatever you've learned on this episode and be excited about them even more
What's
stuff
to
you'll learn in the
come?
next episode.
Anticipation about what's to be.
Well, this was another really great conversation. Thank you so much, Stephanie. And
Thank you, Collin.
we hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Co-Creation Station podcast. Again, as I said in the beginning, if you could like us, follow us, subscribe to us, whatever you're allowed to do, please go ahead and do that. We are super grateful for you and it helps us a lot. If people want to get in touch with you, Stephanie, where can they go?
Give me a call. www.powerinjoy, the Power Enjoy, POWERINJOY.com.
Okay, and the best way to follow me, you can follow me and you can even send me a direct message on Instagram. My handle is @Collin, COLLIN _Daniels, DANIELS _Worster, WORSTER. Thank you so much for listening to us. If you're listening to the audio version, thank you so much for watching us. If you watch us on YouTube, we wish you an abundant and prosperous week, and we'll see you next time on Co-Creation Station.